I recently saw Instagram say, we're not a photo app. Like, we are all in on Reels, IGTV, stories. Like, we want video. So it's just, it goes to show that what you start today could end up evolving into something totally different as this world evolves, man.
You almost have to be adaptive and pivot.
You have to.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that now more than ever with all these, just the way tech and social media and these companies are moving at such a high rate. You cannot be slow to pivot. No. Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Pineda Show. Today, I've got somebody that I actually just met today, but we've been talking for a little bit, and I have many mutual friends with this man. And after talking to him before this podcast, we've got a lot of things in common that I'm really excited to talk about. But this guy, he's written, coming up on his second book, right?
Third book. Yeah.
7 Rules to 7 Figures. And it's coming out here, what day?
19th, so it might be already out when they watch this.
October 19th. This book is going to be really cool. We're going to talk about it. But on top of that, he has been a bestseller on his other book, 6 Months to 6 Figures. He's been on public stages speaking. He's led sales organizations. He's also the owner of the Game Changers Academy. And I got none other than Peter Voogd. What's up, man?
How you doing, man? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. So first off, man, give people a little rundown of who you are, who don't know you.
First, it's weird to it's still weird to hear the intro about what I do and speaking in the book. I'm from a super small town of 6,000 people, so I didn't have really any guidance. I had no inspiration. You tell me I was going to make 6 figures when I'm younger, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
I thought people that made 6 figures were like billionaires when I was growing up. So I'm a small town kid at heart, man, with a lot of ambition. I'm a family man first, a husband first, a dad first, and a businessman second. But my story is really a lot of trials, tribulations, a lot of failures. I started an eBay business when I was 15. Started hiring friends, started making good money in high school. But because every single person, including my family, was like, you can't do that. That's not a normal job. You got to actually get a normal job. That's just like extra play money.
What were you selling on eBay?
Jordans, shoes, Lacoste
Were you drop
shirts.
shipping?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was doing, thinking back, I still don't remember how I heard about eBay. But the story for me was, I used to do construction with my dad. He had a construction, he was doing construction, so I would help him. And my friends would work for him all day, and they were making $6-7 an hour. And one day I checked one of the shoes I had on eBay, and I had made $91, which is not a ton, but my friend just worked 8 hours that day and made 60. So I'm like 15. How did I just make $90 in 5 minutes? And my friend just worked his butt off for 8 hours and made 60. So I was like, something's going on here. I want to be an entrepreneur. But it got beat out of me because of my society where I was. It's like, that's not normal. You have to get a normal job. So I got a normal job valeting cars. Of course, hated it. Quit after 3 months. And finally found sales when I was 20, 21, and worked my way up. Loved sales, loved the ability to be able to create my income based on what I wanted, not based on what someone else wanted. And worked my way up, became a district manager up in Seattle, Washington, and built a sales team. First year, I was struggling, stressed, frustrated. I dropped out of my business school senior year and built a sales team from then on. Just shifted my perspective, and that's where I went from broke to 6 figures by really investing in myself, finding the right mentors, and was able to build my sales team from 0 to $1 million, the quickest the company had ever seen. Then I built it over $10 million. Went from broke to making 300 or 400K at 23, 24 years old. Didn't know what to do with the money. My parents have been in real estate, so finally realized I should start investing some of this. Invested some in real estate at 24, 25. Did that for a couple years. Loved building a culture, loved the ability to kind of create a sales team and ability to inspire and help people. But one day in my office, I was inspiring. We didn't really have too much social media then, but I was running a key staff meeting with like 20, 30 people, and I was like, I need to reach more people. So that's when I stopped doing that, became a full-time entrepreneur, wrote the book 6 Months to 6 Figures. That blew up.
Wait, so you just quit that company?
Quit the company.
That was making you $300,000-400,000 grand a year. And you were like, I'm writing a book.
And I was working 20 hours a week because I had everything delegated. So I'm making $385 a year.
Why not just write the book while, you're not working that much? Why did you have to quit?
I don't know. It was a mission. I don't know. It's something inside me was like, there's still a cap. I need to do my own thing. It's not something I can really explain. I felt like my magnitude of mission was just growing. I did do part of it, was writing it while I was transitioning out, but I wanted to be full-time entrepreneur. And I didn't write the book 6 months to 6 figures thinking I have these 6 steps I'm gonna share. It was after I did it that I realized like, wow, I actually have a process that I help people create 6 figures in sales, and I need to get this out there. I was losing sleep. I wanted to write a book to help people because I realized I couldn't impact people while I was sleeping, and I wanted it to be out there. Wasn't an author, never wrote a book, didn't know how to write, just figured it out, and now it's at almost over 800,000 copies, so it's crazy.
That's crazy.
And that's where I got all my speaking booked from, so a book really can change your life. I had already gotten results, so I recommend people get results before they write a book, because these days, a lot of people write books without getting results.
Right.
But that book blew me up. We started the Game Changers Academy because I had a passion for connecting entrepreneurs to other entrepreneurs. And I had a unique ability to connect with anybody in the industry and bring them to help the young entrepreneurs. That blew up, and I continue just to impact and inspire, man. So I went through a lot of challenges and failures, but now my number one focus is to help people kind of build a life on their terms where they have the ability to have freedom, have an actual lifestyle they're proud of. Because I have a lot of friends that I've connected with that are making so much money. I talked to someone last week making $65 million a month. A month, not a year, a month.
Yeah.
But they have no freedom. Stressed out, anxiety, frustrated, 1,000 employees. It's like, I don't want that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I just see that too much. So my obsession has been helping people kind of build a business that allows them to have some freedom. Because you live once, and I want people to build a business the right way based on their values versus what a lot of people are doing.
No, I love that, man. And that's why I was excited to talk to you after, we had our pre-talk before this, because one of the constant themes on this podcast is freedom, right? Like, man, making money is great, but really the money is not what you're after. It's the freedom, right? You don't want to work the 9 to 5. You want to be able to drive the car you want. You want to live in the house you want. And like, that stuff does require money, but what's the cost to making that money, right?
Sure.
How much time do you got to put in? How much stress, anxiety, all that? And if you can figure out how to have, say, all the things you want as far as, the vacations, the time, the even the material things, right? If you can get all that while working the least amount of time, and even while you work, if you do what you love, like that's the ultimate winning recipe for yourself. And then, if your job allows you to help a bunch of people as well, then you're killing it. And that's what I feel like social media does, is like, dude, it can make me money. I can work on my time. I can impact a ton of people. I make more than enough that I have everything I've ever wanted. Like, it's great. And I feel like that's kind of what your mission is at Game Changers.
100%. And you're still here working. We don't have to do this podcast. Neither of us have to do this podcast, but we love impacting and inspiring. I had a moment, Ryan, too, when I was in sales, where I was doing well in sales myself, and someone went on field training. They watched me go do a sales presentation, and they said, oh my gosh, I'm missing certain things. How you did this. I love how you did this. I was going to quit. My mom's going through evictions and all these things. And because I watched your presentation, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep going. And that kid made 6 figures the next year. And I realized at that moment, I almost get more fulfillment helping other people live their dreams and build their lifestyles and build their businesses and help them make money and success for their family than I do succeeding myself. And I think if you can help enough people, you'll be taken care of.
Well, yeah, I mean, once you reach your level of what you want, then it's like, what's next?
Giving back.
Yeah, and so I'm curious though, with Game Changers, I've got my company Future Flipper, right? We teach people how to invest in real estate. And when you think about it though, investing in real estate is just a way to achieve freedom. It's not that I'm so passionate about real estate just being this awesome. It's just like, no, like, dude, real estate investing can make you a lot of dough. You can delegate it. It's always going to be around. It's, foolproof. Like, it will always be there. And
it's created the most millionaires too.
It's created the most millionaires. Like, dude, I can give you the blueprint. This is what's made me a millionaire. It's what's given me freedom, and it can do the same for you. But in the end, right, the goal is the freedom. It's not the millions or whatever. So like with Game Changers, I'm curious, because it's so entrepreneurial based, I've thought about like, man, how do I give back to, I guess, the general entrepreneur, not just only real estate? Like, how are you guys training these entrepreneurs up? Because they're coming from a wide range of, different things.
So we have different levels. The first thing I would say is we have an application process where we have to accept them. So we have thousands of members that every single person that's got onto our academy had to be accepted. So we make sure that we can help them what their focus is, what their business is, and if they don't have a business, what level's best for them. So we have a process for each level that makes sense based on where they're at. So what we teach, the end result, we help them network with the right people, and we give them kind of like $1 million network overnight, and we have guest speakers every month. So whether it's like Tim Ferriss, whether it's David Goggins, whether it's Robert Kiyosaki, whatever, we have guest speakers that kind of help them every month, kind of mentor them. And then I do networking calls every month. We do live mastermind calls. So really it's a community they have. And the process of the academy is how to figure out what's best for your strengths and how to monetize and maximize your unique abilities. So we teach them how to figure out what industry to get in based on their strengths and based on what their passions are and based on what their goals are. Because people are like, how'd you do 7 figures? That's not important.
Yeah, my skills are different. My passions are different.
100%.
Yeah.
The important thing is, what are you best at? What do you feel like you do the best with the least amount of effort? That's your gift.
Yeah.
How to harness your gift. Because it's like people are obsessed with, like, when I was struggling and I was broke, Ryan, I asked everybody I knew, including the society I was around, my hometown, I'm broke. I need to figure out what am I doing wrong. Guess what every one of them said? Work more. Work harder.
Not adjust what you're doing or look at different opportunities.
Work more. I'm like, I'm working 60 hours. Then I went up to 80 hours. I didn't get the results I wanted. Then I realized it's not about just the hard work. It's about what you put in the hours. And that was a big breakthrough for me because my whole life is like, just work hard. It's like, dude, washing machines work hard.
Yeah. Working hard doesn't guarantee any type of success.
How many hard workers do me and you both know that are struggling?
Right.
So it's like, you just got to figure that on your own, I guess. But realize most of the millionaires that I've connected with when I was making 6 figures, I was working way more than them.
Right.
And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I have a system. I have a foundation.
Yeah.
I have team. I duplicate myself. I was like, oh, I need to do that.
Yeah. So that's cool that you guys are doing that. What would you say is like the most recommended industries you guys are giving these like newer entrepreneurs?
Oh, that's a good question. There's been a lot of e-commerce. There has been a lot of marketing agencies, social media type stuff.
Yep.
There's been real estate. There's been the coaching industry. A lot of people have written best-selling books.
Nice.
It just depends on, it's tough to, that'd be a good survey to do with our team. It'd be tough to figure out, is Horace in here? He would know. It'd be tough to figure out exactly, but it's a mix of, everything is online.
Yeah.
Nothing is offline, which is crazy.
Yeah, you guys aren't doing brick and mortar.
No, whether it's coaching, whether it's social media marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's direct sales, connecting them with a company.
Yeah.
Or whether it's them starting their own business. We've helped people become speakers if that's their gift and they're great at speaking. So it's really a variety.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Everything's online though.
Yeah, for me, I would totally recommend the same thing to anyone listening to this. You know, when I got into real estate, I mean, real estate is fantastic. I love it. But guess what? You know, it requires a lot of capital, requires a lot of labor, you know, construction, all these things. And, you know, I'll teach you how to do all that. You don't need your own money. You don't need to be the one fixing the houses. Yep. But the business itself is very, you know, difficult when you think about it that way. Whereas I'm in these other businesses now, I'm in the e-commerce space. We're creating drop shipping stores for people now, just like you're doing when you're 15. You know, that business is still going on.
Which is crazy.
15 plus years later, and it's bigger than ever now, more e-commerce than ever. So I love that you're pushing people to e-com. You know, the social media marketing agencies, I've talked about that before on YouTube. Like, it's a great opportunity. My team right now, I spend $40,000 a month on my team for social media. You telling me like you couldn't get a career with me some way, somehow, or any other influencer or business person who wants to have influence? Like, the opportunities are endless to do social media for other people if you understand it. You know, the marketing agencies with Facebook ads and all these things, I think that's fantastic. And I just think it's smart for any entrepreneur today to go digital because your reach is unlimited. The risk is significantly lower. Like, it just makes, to me, it makes no more sense to even pursue brick and mortar businesses.
Especially if you value freedom.
Yeah.
And like you said, people on your team, I bet you a lot of people on your team showed value first or reached out to you and said, I want to work with you. And you're like, okay, so does everyone else. Show me what you can do. And they showed you. Yep. A lot of people don't realize how easy it is. If you master your craft, if you get good at something that's relevant, if you get good at something that adds value to somebody like you, it's the easiest to get a job ever if you show them what you can do.
Yep.
People just don't understand that. If you're good enough, the money's gonna find you.
Yeah.
Every single person, almost everyone on my team, reached out to me and showed me what they could do. They said, let me add some value. Let me show you what I could do for your company.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, everyone says that. We put them through some hoops. They jump through for 30 days or a month. I'm like, wow, this person's valuable. I'd love to pay you.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that, because almost every business I've ever started has been because somebody else showed me value or sparked my interest in it.
Sure.
So it's like the e-commerce business. I was not looking to do e-com. I didn't want to start one. And all of a sudden, you know, my now partner was like, hey, let me show you some value. Let me create you a store and show you it's legit. And he did. The store made money. I'm like, dang, okay. And
But there's nothing he could have said to you. He showed you.
He showed me. Yeah, he
could talk to you for 3 weeks. You're like, okay.
And I've heard people talk about e-com for years. It ain't
like,
nothing new. I'm like, I don't care, dude. I'm a real estate guy.
Sure.
And he's like, dude, I used to be a real estate guy too until I got into e-com. And like, he still is doing real estate, but like, he showed me, like you're saying. And you know, a new thing we're up to is doing some development projects, not only on my own personal house, but an office space. We're looking at doing some spec homes. And this wasn't anything that I hadn't heard of before. I've heard of spec home. Obviously, I've sold them. But I've never really thought about developing them myself. Well, one of my students actually in my coaching program was like, hey, Ryan, why aren't you doing development? I said, well, I don't know. I'm busy. I got a lot of crap going on, right? Like, to start a whole
Tell me why I should.
Yeah, to do a whole new division is pretty tough. And he's like, I will literally do it all. Like, I will handle it. Like, and he goes, here's some things. Here's the numbers here. And I said, okay, these numbers look pretty freaking good. Like, this is, all right, now it's worth my time. And I was like, what is needed from me? And so he says, this is all you got to do. It's like not really anything different than you're currently doing. You just have to do this. And I said, all right, well, let's start developing. But he showed me, and like,
you're giving people the exact blueprint on how to reach you and how to actually add value to you and make money with you.
Yeah.
Just people don't do it.
You might end up working for me. You might be my partner. Yeah. You might be, dude, I'm always open to new opportunities. If you could find a way that like makes my life better.
You're open-minded.
Which
is why you're so successful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably why I'm going to have way too many businesses. But
one of the rules, you're bringing it up perfectly. One of the rules is like, you have to build a world-class circle of genius, an area, like a network. A lot of people don't have the right network.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like building the right network of clients, of customers, of friends, of mentors is like the hugest key. One of the biggest breakthroughs I had, and maybe you've had something similar, where I used to bang my head against the wall trying to figure out what my next move was, or figure out how to make this business work, or figure out how to do this or this. And once I realized I didn't have to do that, I could just call my network and they could help me, and it speeds up the learning curve.
Yeah.
Life got so much easier. And now that I have kids, I have to tell myself I will be disciplined instead of working all the time.
Yeah.
So every time I have an issue, my team deals with it, or I call my network and they help me with the answer. So I think that old adage of like, figure everything out yourself is just, that's old school. It's going to trip up your progress.
Yeah, I think that's super dumb. I
agree.
Everything I do now, I really don't try to learn it myself.
Yeah, you don't need to.
No, I'm like, dude, who knows this? Who's already, like, just give me the answers or do it for me.
But
like,
someone could say to you, old school, like, yeah, but you got to know your business in and out. You could say, I do know my business, but all the other ones I don't want to know.
Well, and the other thing is too, even like take flipping houses, for example. I still don't know how to put in a toilet or put up drywall. I couldn't tell you how to do it. And I've bought hundreds of homes and I have no idea. So you don't need to know every aspect of everything. There's no reward in just being this all-knowing. Sure. Like, there's reward in like being really good at one thing.
I think one of the biggest issues that kill entrepreneurs' progress is overload, mastery versus overload, where they're so overloaded with information, they don't take any action.
Yeah.
They read so much, they study so much, they're obsessed with consuming, they never produce, and they're confused why they're not getting results.
Yeah. I know a ton.
Yeah. And I feel like when you're overwhelmed, you seek distraction subconsciously. So it's like they trick themselves into thinking, I need to read more. It's like, yes, you should study, but you got to execute what you learn. If you don't execute what you learn, you're going to be stuck in the same spot.
Yeah. I'll tell you a quick tip for anyone listening is when I go to learn a new skill, it's because I believe like this skill is very important. Not only right now, this moment, but for the long term, right? So like one thing I've been learning about reading and learning more about is copywriting, right? Like I have copywriters that can do that for me, but it is a skill I feel is very
skill.
valuable. I need to learn it myself because the way I speak on camera, the way that, I create titles and subject lines and all this I'm going to use it the rest of my life. So it is a skill worth learning for me.
So funny. I talk about some of the most important skills you can learn. That's one of them.
There we go.
So you're smart.
You know what? Now that we're talking about that, so you've got this book, 7 Rules to 7 Figures. Okay, guys, by the time this podcast release, it's going to be out on Amazon. Go buy it. It's an amazing book. He's already sold 800,000 copies of, 6 months to 6 figures. And this is going to be as good too. So I want to hear just what this book is about and why people should buy it. So dude, sell me on this book. Why should somebody buy it?
So if you really value freedom, you value family, and you value financial success, there's no better blueprint to get you there, because I've been doing that for years. And I feel like if you've built $100 million business and you have no lifestyle you're inspired by, you did it wrong. And this is for me being in the trenches the last 15 years of really trying to figure it out. And I realized making 6 figures, I couldn't get the 7 figures doing more of what got me 6. It's a different mentality. It's a different state of mind. It's a different set of rules. And these, based off the last 15 years, based off interviewing 300 or 400 millionaires, based off all of the experiences I've been through, these are the 7 rules that can guarantee and solidify someone a successful business over 7 figures while they have freedom, flexibility, and they keep their values intact. And it's from being in the trenches. It's no BS. It's tactical. Every single chapter, Ryan, has an execution plan so people can focus on getting addicted to outcomes and results, not information and knowledge. And it's something that I feel like is needed at the highest level, because there's not a lot of blueprints that help people figure out who they are, what business to start, and then how to monetize that as well, and do it in a way that has freedom and flexibility.
Right.
That's why I feel like people should get it. If they value freedom over security, if they really want to build a successful business they're proud of, but do it in a way that allows them to flourish and allows them to have some autonomy, I don't think there's a better blueprint out, because I've done it and I've taught people how to do it, which is where that came from.
I love that, dude. Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's the business without the freedom is just, it's a job.
Too much. I see it too much.
It's a job. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It's not worth it. So
This is a step by step too, where like if you skip some steps, you might not build the ideal business on your terms.
Right.
So it's just the steps to actually figure out how to do it. And there's also a 9-to-5 escape plan. Like we talked before we were live, 42 million people quit their job last month. What are they going to do?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Real estate maybe, but it's like, this is a blueprint. It's like, this is exactly how you have to do it. And one thing I'm obsessed with is the average person spends 91,000 hours in their life working, whatever they do for a living. And 76% of those people hate what they do. They're disengaged and they can't stand going to work.
Yeah.
So the majority of people walking around in society, 76% hate what they do and don't have passion the majority of their life.
Scary.
And they just wait till their back's against the wall to grow. It's like, I don't want people to wait till their back's against the wall.
Yeah.
Take some action now.
Yeah. No, it's crazy, dude. So give me a little preview. Like what's one of the rules?
Pick one.
All right, let's go. Hold on, guys. I'm going to go.
I'll tell you the first one because it's important. World-class self-awareness.
Okay.
What you don't know about yourself controls your life. So I went on a journey 2 years ago. I consumed the least amount of content. I watched one podcast. I had one mentor. I took one course. I consumed the least amount, but I figured myself out at the highest level. So I took the year off from consuming a lot, and I studied who I was, my strengths, my weaknesses, what I wanted, my values. Most successful year of my life, hands down. Best results, most money, most success, most freedom, most family time, most enjoyment, because I knew myself. A lot of people don't know themselves. They're like a mix of everyone's opinions, everyone's expectations. When you truly know yourself, one of the reasons I like connecting with you is you know yourself. I know a lot of influencers that have millions of followers that are out there crushing it. They don't know themselves. And you can tell.
Right.
And for me, it's like you want to get to the end of your life and not knowing yourself. I think that's the biggest tragedy. So that's why that chapter is like the first chapter. It's like, if you don't know yourself, you're always going to choose the wrong industry. You're going to have that grass is greener mentality, and you're never going to actually build a real business that's based on your strengths and what you want.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. One of the things that we do at Feature Flipper is anytime someone joins my all-star coaching, we give them what's called the predictive index. And the predictive index is a personality test that pretty much just tells you who you are.
Strengths, too.
And yeah, strengths, weaknesses. It's like, look, we all have strengths and weaknesses. So for me, anytime I hire somebody, I give them that same test because I want to know that they have the personality for this role. Now, look, you can have the wrong personality for a role and still be very successful, but you probably don't enjoy it.
You won't like it.
You won't like it.
Sure.
But if you get somebody whose personality is fit for that role, they're going to crush it. They're going to love it. They're going to come to work every day and be hyped. And I give that to our students because I want them to know who they are. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you think that, oh, I have to be the CEO, the boss. And it's like, you might not be. You know, that takes a very certain type of, personality. You've got to be a leader. You've got to be fearless. You've got to be willing to take risk. The CEO has to have big vision and
thick skin,
handle criticism. You might be better as a COO type person. You might be behind the scenes, handling the details, managing people. You just don't know, So I tell this to people all the time because, like, in real estate anyway, right? We're obsessed with getting deals and sales. So it's like everyone thinks, I got to become a better sales guy. And you were in sales. So, there are some people that just, no matter how hard they try, they ain't going to be great at it. Like, they can become,
their personality.
It's just not their characteristic. It's
and
like,
they shouldn't take that personal. They should realize they have strengths that other people look at them like, oh my gosh, you're amazing.
Yep. They're probably
people just don't
great
get that.
at the details.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, dude.
That's huge.
Play to your strengths. Yeah. So, and it all goes back to chapter 1 you're talking about, being self-aware. Yeah. And most people have no idea. They're like, I don't know. Ryan started a podcast. I should start a podcast. Yeah. Like, dude.
You don't know all the reasons why you're doing it. Too.
Yeah.
And knowing yourself, look what you're wearing.
Yeah.
Look what I'm wearing.
Yeah,
I don't have a suit. I wore a suit for a majority of my life, but there's a story in there about me speaking at Success Live, which is the biggest speaking event in entrepreneurship. There was 3,000 people in the crowd, and I'm the only speaker. I have jeans and a t-shirt on, and I have an Organ Boy hat on.
I seen everything you do. You're wearing a hat, man. What's up with that?
I just like my hat. I usually have an Organ Boy hat, but I wore it yesterday.
I can't wear a hat now because my hair has become my brand. I like
your hair. I told him, I go, yeah, he has blue hair, and then I come in, it's not blue.
I know. I keep changing it.
Quit switching it.
I know. So I'm just gonna pick one rule at random, dude, and tell me what this means to you. So I like this one. World-class branding and positioning.
I mean, branding is kind of what tells the customer what to buy. Positioning is like why they buy. I think positioning is the most powerful tool you can have in entrepreneurship, how people view you. And the whole purpose of business is creating raving fans. That's the whole purpose. People don't understand that.
Right.
If you can create raving fans, the more raving fans you have, the more successful your business. And if you can document and leverage those raving fans online so people can see what your company does for them and you know your audience like nobody else, you will thrive in this new economy. And that chapter dives into how to brand and how to position your business where it's unique, it's different, and you are the leading authority. I think the worst thing, tell me if I'm wrong and see what your perspective is on this, the worst thing you can be in this new economy is just another.
Yeah.
I have people every day, I became a real estate agent. I'm like, so did everyone else. You know what I mean? What makes you different? So like the worst thing you could be is just another author, just another speaker, just another coach, just another mortgage broker. So I teach people how to break above the noise, rise above, and actually figure out how they're the go-to person versus them chasing people. People come to them. That's why that chapter is so important. Because if you're not positioned well, I feel like you're gonna have to always chase clients, and it's really hard because you get burnout.
Yeah.
So it's like that. I can't. I mean, we could talk about that for an hour.
Yeah,
but that's the importance.
I love it.
You're great at positioning. I see it. That's how I learned about you. People just don't understand the power of social media and positioning their business.
Yeah. No, I actually had a meeting with my realtors. It's funny you bring them up. Like, dude, do you want to just be another realtor? Why would I hire you, right? Why would I pick you out of all the 20,000 realtors here in Las Vegas? What makes you unique? And then, you hear generic things of like, well, I'm honest.
I knew it. Yeah.
I have integrity. I'm going to treat my client the best. It's like, dude, you know that when you sign the realtor code of conduct, you agree to do those things. Like, that's the bare minimum.
If your USP includes what you should be doing, it's not a USP.
Exactly.
For sure.
So it's like, what makes you unique and different? And if you are unique, everyone has unique characteristics. Like, let it be known with your branding and your positioning so people know, oh, guess what? If I'm looking for investments in Las Vegas, I know that Ryan is the guy. That dude is the investing king. Yeah, here's why. Yep. Here's his track record. Here's proof documented. Here's everything you need to know. This guy knows investing like no other. And I've kind of branded myself that way here in Las Vegas, and then it's led to opening up a fund. So like at Pineda Capital now, we're buying big deals across the country. But like, you know, I didn't just start buying big deals over the country. It's like I built my reputation, my USP locally, and then, you know, we're expanding it nationwide.
The problem is people that follow you see all you do and they instantly go, I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't start building 7 companies at once yesterday.
Right.
People just don't realize that. They see us sometimes. They see me on stage. It's like I was just like you. I was sitting in the back of the room like I could never speak on stage.
Yeah.
And it just slowly, you continue to progress. You continue to invest in yourself, continue to build and go through failures, and here you are.
One thing I'll say is I constantly have underestimated my own capabilities. So I want you guys to know, like you said, you never thought you were going to make 6 figures, right? You grew up in a small town and you're like, dude, if I made 6 figures, this would be nuts. Yeah. I was the same way. Like I was saying, dude, when I first started flipping couches as part of my story, it was the first time I ever made significant money. And I did not make 6 figures for the first time in my life until I was 27. And
wow.
I just was like, dude, I cannot believe I made 6 figures. This is crazy.
Was a millionaire when you were younger, like out of reach? Like you're like, no way.
Well, sort of. I thought I was going to be a millionaire from playing baseball. So that was always my dream. I'm like, dude, I'm going to be in the big leagues. I'm going to make millions. It's tight. And then once baseball was over, I was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't know how I'm going to make money. I didn't even have self-awareness that I was an entrepreneur. So, you know, I end up making 6 figures, and then, you know, I made 7 figures for the first time. And I was just like, holy crap, I can't believe I just did that. And I'll be pretty certain in 2022, you know, we'll do over 8 figures. And I'm just like,
that's crazy.
Even still, I would never believe
but
that.
It's step by step though.
And that's the point I want to make to everybody is like, look, it takes steps. You're never going to just, unless you're delusional, where you're like, yep, I'm an 8-figure entrepreneur. It's like
tomorrow.
Yeah. Like, hey, chill out, dude. Like, it's cool to have
a lot of kids like that though.
I see them.
I'm going to be the next Facebook. It's like, no.
Nah, just like, let's just get a blog up and going real quick. You know, like, let's start your YouTube channel first. So yeah, you start developing more faith as you have more success. You know, you clear that hurdle of making 6 figures, you're like, great. Then you clear that hurdle of making $500,000, $1 million. You become a millionaire. And it's just like over time. And then honestly, you start to become more self-aware as you do more things, get more experience, and you start to understand what you truly want, like what's fulfills your needs, and how far you really want to take it. Because as I've gone along the journey, I've thought a lot about it, and I'm like, could I ever take a company public? And I start thinking about what it would do to my life. I'm like, man, I'd have to, you know, move potentially.
I had the exact same experience.
Yeah, I'd have to, you know, report to, you know, all these investors, and I have to put in all these hours, and, you know, I have to like push for growth nonstop.
Your kids are like 12, 13. You want to go to basketball games, baseball games. And you have to do all that stuff.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know that I could ever do it. Like, why would I do it?
My whole goal, I mean, I remember when I started making 7 figures, I'm like, dude, I'm making billions. I'm going to crush this industry. But then I got married, had kids. I still have massive ambition and I have huge goals. But if I don't become a billionaire, I'm like, nah, I don't want to make that sacrifice. Because family and flexibility and freedom is important. Some young kids are like, oh, you don't want to be a billionaire? Oh, it's like, no. I just know myself, and I know I have a path of that, and I feel like it takes a lot of sacrifice. Right. You have to know what you want and then be willing to give up to get what you want. A lot of people aren't willing to give up to get what they want.
Right. And I think the thing you should think about too for anyone listening is if you do have this goal of being, let's just say a billionaire, okay? Like, let's say our next thing is like, look, let's develop a plan to become a billionaire. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking in this box that is like been the path to becoming a billionaire. You go public, you know, have to work all these hours, but like there might be a much easier way to be a billionaire that I'm not thinking about, right? If I would have bought, you know, all this Bitcoin 10 years ago,
it's true.
I would have been a billionaire and I would have like chilled and coasted there.
Yep.
So with technology and all these things, there might be far easier paths to becoming a billionaire. And it's something I've been thinking about too. It's like, man, you know, NFTs and all this stuff are so big, and I believe they're going to continue to get bigger. You know, there's going to be billions of dollars going into that. Is there like an easy path for me to create value in that market? So
Yeah, and I think there will be too. Billions a strong number, but I feel like everything has changed. I think it's like adapt or die now, where what we do right now could not be done 20 years ago.
No.
And I know 18, 19-year-olds making millions right now, and I know broke 50-year-olds. How does that happen? It's just the new economy. It's like age has become irrelevant, where with the NFTs, we had a kid in our academy that made $1.7 million with crypto this last 6 months.
crazy.
Quit his job. He was a nurse, quit his job. Now he's full-time teaching crypto, talking about crypto, retired. It's like,
Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen with crypto. If you really study and become obsessed, you can make some good money. NFTs
make some
too.
crazy
You know what
money.
I mean? So I agree. There could be a path to billions that's faster than like the old Jeff Bezos way.
Well, and two, it's like, okay, you're seeing a lot of people become billionaires through apps, right?
Yeah.
You know, you make an app with this small team and all of a sudden people just love it. It goes viral.
Yeah.
Like the ability to go viral in today's world gives you an edge unlike any time in history where it's like, dude, it just gets shared enough. Your product, all of a sudden, that company just went through the roof.
But people don't realize how many apps fail though.
Right.
So they're like, oh, that app went crazy. What's that one app that was big on Twitter Spaces? What's the one that was like, we just talked about, that got huge and like kind of just shut down?
Spaces is kind of like their Clubhouse. I
Clubhouse,
think.
that's what it was.
Yeah, Clubhouse.
Clubhouse went crazy, and then I don't know where, is it still going?
I never liked Clubhouse to begin with. I
Yeah,
said
it just
that a
went,
million times.
crazy, then it just died. So it's like there's so many apps that go crazy, Vine and stuff, and it just dies.
Right.
So it's like, but then there's a lot of failed ones no one knows about. So it's tricky with that industry, but if you hit right, I've seen people make 500 million to $1 billion.
Yeah. Well, and two, I was reading the book on Instagram and just the story of how it started. And the app that is now Instagram was called Bourbon. Okay.
Really?
These guys, the founder of Instagram, started an app called Bourbon. He got a bunch of investors. Some of them were, these big guys. I forget their names, but they invested in it. And actually, Twitter got pissed because they wanted to buy it. Speaking of them, and they double crossed, or Instagram kind of double crossed them and went to Facebook. But long story short, they were Bourbon. It was whatever. It was literally like a drinking app or something. And then they started sharing photos, and they were like, "Hey,
Wow,
people!"
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're like, people really like the photos, and they started just thinking, they're like, okay, we're gonna rebrand this app as Instagram, and it's gonna be a photo sharing app. And then boom, like starts getting traction. People love sharing photos, and then, they really did not want to do video because they were like, we're only photo. They reluctantly did video as they saw the world changing. And now I recently saw Instagram say, we're not a photo app. Like, we are all in on Reels, IGTV, stories. Like, we want video. So it goes to show that what you start today could end up evolving into something totally different as this world evolves, man.
You almost have to be adaptive and pivot.
You have to.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that now more than ever with all these, just the way tech and social media and these companies are moving at such a high rate. You cannot be slow to pivot.
No, you'll be left behind. It really is an adapt or die economy. It's like scary how many people just don't pivot and they're done.
Yeah.
Like right when the pandemic hit in last March, I reached out to like 15 of the most successful people I knew. Kiyosaki, Bedros Keuilian, Patrick Bet-David, Ryan Blair, just these killers in business. And I talked to all of them about the pandemic. I wanted to create something for my audience, like how can we get people through this? And all of them had already pivoted.
Yeah, they're already moving.
They weren't like, we're thinking, we're having meetings. We already pivoted.
Right.
So that tells you 99% of the business world, right when the pandemic hit, didn't pivot yet.
Right.
But I talked to these elite performers. They already pivoted.
Yeah. I mean, my pivot was I started a YouTube channel, a TikTok, and it was a good pivot.
Yeah.
Speaking of the pandemic real quick, I know we're coming short on time, but I had my friend John Acuff on, speaker, just like yourself. And he was telling me how, his speaking fee is $30,000 for an hour. And you were telling me you're very similar. And I was like, man, I got to start speaking, man. Like I'm over here, talking for free to the camera.
It is fun. Speaking
but
is fun.
You love it. And, how did the pandemic affect your speaking career and everything?
Yeah, so I already was kind of turning down speeches because I had I had a kid and then I have my second kid. So it wasn't a big deal because they were still doing a lot of Zoom stuff. So honestly, there was some Zoom meetings I was getting paid highly and I'm like, wow, I don't have to leave my house.
This is great.
I don't have to fly and I'm getting paid. So it was great. But I miss the interaction. I miss the live,
the crowd,
and I miss the people love the footage, the day in the life type stuff. So I miss it, but I had to adapt.
Yeah.
Like it definitely, like I wasn't speaking as much, but I got a chance to be with my family. So I'm always thinking of ways to things happen for me, not to me. And I was like, well, this is a good time to get closer to the family, create better content, think about my next business moves. Me and my business manager talked a lot. So it's just like, it worked out, but it was tricky at first. I'm like, I'm not gonna be speaking on stage for the next year.
One thing the pandemic taught me was that time you said where me and my manager were speaking a lot, because we were all forced into this time of, hey, we're in reflection. We can't do a lot of the things we wanted to do. And so I really reflected on my life and the future and what I wanted to do. And it was fantastic. And it made me think like, man, I need to do that way more often.
For sure.
We all need to have self-reflection to really get step one of this.
I wrote most
self-awareness.
Yeah, I agree. It was amazing, man.
Yeah, man. So tell me, dude, as we wrap up, where can people find you? Where can they
I'm
learn
all
more
over,
about you?
just like you. Social media, at Peter J. Voogd on Instagram. They can get the book. I believe we put a ton of cool bonuses at 7rulesbook.com. They can get it on Amazon as well. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, so they can find me.
7 Rules is 7 spelled out, or the number?
7 Rules Book, the number, just the number.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they can get it there. And I'm excited for them to check it out. Let me know what you think. I'd love to have them reach out to me if it's from this interview on IG or anywhere, and let us know.
Yeah, definitely hit Peter up, tag him if you buy it. And yeah, I'm excited to read it, man. I appreciate you bringing me the early release.
Back at you, man. Thank you for leading the way and being a world-class. I love connecting with people that crushing it in business, but they're also world-class dads and husbands first. I love people like that. That's the people I connect with the most. So much respect to you.
Appreciate that, man. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this interview. Connect with Peter. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Catch you on the next one. Peace.
Hey guys, if you like that interview with Ryan, you're gonna absolutely love this video right here where I talk about the 3 hacks to a 7- and 8-figure lifestyle. You're gonna love it.
You don't fully have to believe it, but you gotta keep it in your head, keep it in your brain space, and write it down daily, because subconsciously, your brain's gonna go to work